Yo, what's up? My name is Patrouski, and today we are doing another Loot from 1 Hour, the series in which we catch Pokemon for 1 hour and see how much profit can be made. Today, I'm going to be farming Wingull. I don't actually have it in my Pokedex, which is hilarious, so the first catch we get will be able to log that. I'm going to be here in Dewford Town. It's very common in the water here, levels 20 to 30. The reason why Wingull is a pretty good Pokemon to catch is because Pelipper is a very desired Pokemon for the OU PvP tier. If you're ever looking for inspiration for a Pokemon to farm, heading to PvP tiers and seeing what are like commonly used Pokemon is a great way to do so. Pelipper is here at a 12% usage rate and 49, almost 50% win rate. Pelipper is extremely good though because it is the only Pokemon that has Drizzle in the entire game. Therefore, it is required for Rain Dance teams pretty much, right? That's why it's in the OU tier. So every single person who wants to build a Rain Dance team needs Pelipper, which is a really big deal. So we're going to be testing Loot from 1 Hour of Wingull. Very high desirability. It's always going to be relevant. It's a really interesting Pokemon. I'm really curious to see how these things sell and how much profit can be made. I'm going to be here in Dewford Town, like I said. I'm going to go ahead and just start, and I will see you guys with the first catch. Now, I will say, for this spot to work, you have to make sure that in the top left-hand corner of your screen, it says Dewford Town. So you kind of have to stay in this weird little patch. There's probably a better location for this, but I'm just going to be doing it here for whatever reason. And if you head too far east or too far north, you'll enter different routes. So make sure it says Dewford Town. To be fair, though, if you head upward to Route 106 to the north, you can also find Wingull here, so honestly, it might not matter. And then I believe the route to the east is something else. Alright, funnily enough, the first Pokemon we encounter here is actually Pelipper, which also it can be found here, but has a rare chance of encountering as opposed to the very common Wingull. So, kind of a funny situation to have happen, but you know what? We'll definitely catch these as well. Now, it's important to know that the catching strategy for this should be really simple. I'm pretty sure it's just going to be False Swipe into Spore into Pokeball. It should be really, really consistent. There shouldn't be any issues with that. I will say, after, Protect, we have to watch out for that. That'll be kind of annoying. That'll slow things down. I will say, after this, I am going to be popping a lure. We're starting this with 20 lures, and I will be subtracting the cost of the lures by the end of this hour. But I do think lures are going to end up increasing our profits. I could be wrong, but we'll go ahead and see with that. So let's go ahead and Pokeball here and see what happens. All right, there is the first catch. I'm going to go ahead and start the hour timer here on my phone, and then we have the Pelipper added to our Pokedex entry. Let's check the first catch. No IVs or anything. I don't think it has any sort of decent base price, but that is totally okay. I will see you guys after 1 hour. Let's go ahead and pop the first lure. I will say the only issue with this location, and pretty much every Wingull location that I've tried to farm at, is that there's so many tentacles that you encounter that get in the way of your Wingulls, which is really frustrating when Wingull is supposed to be a very common encounter. It gets a little annoying. Whenever I get these double battles like this, I do go ahead and catch the Wingulls, so I can take it out pretty easily and pretty safely. What I do is I end up using my Dragonite, my HM friend Dragonite, to strength or kill the tentacle in some way. I false swipe the Wingull and or Pelipper. I then go for a Spore and a Fly. My Dragonite has only 4 attacking moves, 4 HMs, so I go for a Fly so that he'll be in the air, and then if I spam Pokeballs on the next, couple turns, he essentially will never actually be able to fly down and do damage to the Wingull, funnily enough. So on this next turn, I'll go ahead and Pokeball, and this strat always ends up working for these double battles, which is really nice. There we go, a clean, perfect catch. Alright, and here is our last Wingull catch of the hour, and it's 31 HP and even has some other stats, so that's awesome. Let's go ahead and head back to the PC, calculate our cost. We ended up using 9 lures within the hour. We probably should have just not popped the last lure. We only used around 40 steps or so, but that's totally okay. So 9 or 8 lures. We're going to calculate costs. We'll do Pokeballs. We'll do listing fees, and we'll also see how many Wingulls we actually caught. Alright, here is all of our Wingulls. It seems like we caught around 37. We caught around 4 Pelipper and the rest being Wingulls. 37 in total. Now, I'm going to go ahead and sort through and release all the ones that don't have any IVs, or I'm just not going to be able to sell for anything. I don't think that the male flying A group has a base price that's worth keeping, but I could go ahead and double check. I could see that being the case. Maybe if someone's shiny hunting for something like Skarmory, they'd be buying them, but yeah, no. This is not worth selling. If it's under 2K, it's definitely just a release. You don't want to waste your time and your listing fee on that. But immediately, let's start tracking our costs, which will be in the bottom right-hand corner of the screen. So we have 37 Wingulls that were caught, which is 37 times 200, because it was just 1 Pokeball per Wingull. Pretty easy. That comes out to 7,400 Pokeyen. And we also had 9 Expert Lures, which cost 1,500 a piece that were used. So 1,350 plus the 70. We're just going to call it a flat 20K. 20K cost so far is super fair. Let's even be safe about it and just call it 21K. Add that extra 400 on. So 21k is our total cost so far, not including listing fees. We'll get to that in a sec. Let's actually go ahead and sort through these Wingulls now. So during the kitchen process, I labeled everything either 1 times 31, 2 times 31, noted, etc., etc. So now it'll be way easy for me to go ahead and just sort through them. There's a bunch of times 31s. Let's go ahead and sort for noted and see how many of those pop up. We had quite a few noteds pop up, which weren't exactly 1 times 31s, but had a lot of decent IVs. So let's go ahead and double check through everything and make sure I didn't miss anything. All right, yep, looks like I didn't miss anything, but I'm going to go ahead and check the other A group, Water A, as well, before I go ahead and just release all of these Wingulls. And yeah, it looks like the Water A base price is also super cheap, so I'm not going to worry about it. I am going to take the items off of all these Wingulls. That will be important. It's only, I believe, 1 Damp Rock and 1 Pretty Wing. Those sell for absolutely negligible amounts of Pokeyen. So I'm going to go ahead and just right-click this, release, and release all of these Wingulls back into the wild, of course. So now we have 11 Wingulls to sort through and price up. All right, I have 21k as our cost written down, so I'm going to go ahead and delete this on the calculator, reset, so now we can actually start tracking our revenue that's coming in. So I'm going to start by, I think, going through the noted Wingulls, which will be a little more complicated to sell off, but I'm going to price check them off camera and then just show you guys how much I'm going to be selling them for, and I'll maybe explain a little bit why. So I'll go ahead and immediately say the interesting thing about Wingull and Pelipper is that you actually care about all 6 stats, because since U-turn is a physical move, you actually need physical attack. Now, if you don't really care about the U-turn having any sort of damage, you can go ahead and just worry about special attack. This is a really good Wingull here for this price. This honestly could be a really good flip. It's only been up for 15 minutes. I might go ahead and snipe that down. But essentially, the fact that you can really go fully special on Pelipper for the most part, but your U-turn damage can actually be really, really relevant. So having a high attack as well can be super nice, though sometimes it not really matter depending on like your nature and stuff. If you're going calm, if you're going bold, it's going to hurt your attack a ton anyway. So it can really depend, but generally you do actually care about all stats. Now, this Wingull is super comparable to this one. It has been listed for 6 days, which is kind of brutal. I'm going to go ahead and list this one for 5k, the same price as this one. There's a really good chance this doesn't sell, though. The noted ones are way more complicated. The noted ones are a little tougher to sell. If someone finds this, I'm sure they'll buy it and sell it. It'll be a great breeder. But the issue is finding a Pokemon like that isn't always as easy as it may seem on the GTL, leaving out that defense stat. But it could be a great breeder. Rebreeding that on my own time for profit could actually be really good. However, in a loop from 1 hour, I don't want to have to worry about that. I want to just go ahead and actually just sell everything and get that immediate profit. I did go ahead and buy that Wingull off of the GTL, the cheap one, but that's not going to be going into our price check, of course. So the first Wingull went for 5k. This next Wingull is just going to go for 2k. These are the worst ones out of the batch for sure, so don't stress out too much. We are going to sell that for 2k and then add 2k over to our calculator. We are going to add 1k per Wingull to our cost at the very end of this, so our cost will end up going up to 31k. On a lot of these noted Wingulls, I honestly wouldn't even waste my time selling them on my main account, since I have so much more Pokeyen there. But on this account, every little Pokeyen matters. I do want to sell stuff for like 2k and stuff. This Wingull is going to be a tough one to price. Like, it's just 2 times 30 in defense and special defense, though, which are really, really important stats for Wingull. This one is 31 and then 30, so it's not really going to be comparable. I might just have to kind of freeball this one and list it for like 8k or so and see if it sells, maybe 6k. What does a 31 and 1 of these sell for? Let's go ahead and see. Actually, a decent amount, so I'm excited to get to those. Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and list this one for 8k. I think that's a super reasonable price and see if it sells. We're gonna add that over to our calculator, of course, putting us at 15k revenue so far. Moving on to the next Wingull. Let's see what stats this one has. Now, this one is actually pretty interesting because it's sassy nature, which is somewhat usable. You want that speed if possible, but it's really a nice defensive nature. And then it's also 20 plus in every single stat that it needs. Obviously not having that attack stat, but once again, the attack stat's not needed, but it's nice. This could be a really nice Wingull. This is like a UT Pelipper, a very beginner, budget-friendly UT Pelipper, but a UT Pelipper. When I say UT, if you don't know, I mean untrained, which essentially means a untrained Pokemon, which is a Pokemon that is competitively ready. It has a decent enough nature, has a decent enough stats and everything. You just have to EV train it and level it up and evolve it and everything. So this is what I would call a budget UT. So if I just search for a Wingull with 20 plus and all those stats, the cheapest one I get ends up being around 30k, which is super awesome. Now this one is much better than mine. As you can see, a 31 special defense plus that 30 attack is pretty brutal. However, mine does have that sassy nature. I'm super comfortable going ahead and listing this thing for 25k, and I think it should sell. I think if someone just wants to pick up Pelipper for, you could buy this for 25k. I would buy this for 25k personally. I would buy this, I would train it up, EV train it, turn it into a competitive Pelipper, and resell it for maybe 50 or 80k. So this is honestly a really good Pokemon to just sort of look for a mediocre comp and make some profit on. So there's a really good chance that someone buys that. I will say this next Wingull, there's a decent chance I just don't sell this one at all, but we'll see if we see a price range on it. Now, the reason I'm searching for Wingulls, like this one's pretty comparable but better, and it just hasn't sold. I'll go ahead and list this one for 2k and try to get a sale on it, honestly, just to not worry about the extra costs, but that one might not go through, but that's okay. It's only 1k or so, if, you know, if it does or if it doesn't, so I'm super okay with that. The reason I'm searching by Wingulls as opposed to egg groups, for certain Pokemon, we'll search by, you know, the actual species when we try to sell it. For some, we'll search for, like, just the egg group. The reason being is that Wingull and Pelipper are so desired that people are going to be buying them to keep them as a Wingull or a Pelipper and keep them as that species. If the species is desired, you usually can sell by species, but it can really depend. It has to be pretty desired for that to be the case, and it might take a little longer to sell something as a species versus as egg group. Now onto the Wingulls with IVs. We have a 31 special attack Wingull with the modest nature. I might go ahead and check this in the egg group as well because it might go for more at that with these stats and nature. The cheapest 31 special attack Wingull with modest nature does go for around 15k as we can see, but it hasn't sold for 3 days, which tells me people aren't really looking for that 2 times 31, you know, Wingull. So let's go ahead and check for egg group. This is going to be cheaper, probably would be my guess. Let's get rid of this typed out Wingull. So here we see 3k, terribly cheap. Let's try the flying. Flying might be a little better, but even then, yeah, not many flying attackers need that special attack egg group, honestly. That makes a ton of sense. I'm going to go ahead and sell this one for, I believe, 12k, maybe 14. I'll probably just undercut that one that's 15k. I might go 12k on it. I think if someone's looking for a Pelipper, I'm going to go 12k. I'm trying to convince someone to essentially snipe it up and turn this into a Pelipper breed. Yeah, we'll go for that. The other one has the special defense stat. This one has the defense stat at 28, which really does matter. So we're going to go ahead and do this. List this for 12k and add that onto our calculator. Next up, we have the last Pelipper that we caught, and it is female, as well as 31 HP and 25 in both defenses. This is a very good catch. I'm going to check the price on Wingull and see if we see anything, and then I'll also check the price on Pelipper. So the cheapest one that comes up, geez, obviously not comparable, but it's pretty crazy with those stats. What if we check for Pelipper? Let's go ahead and type that out. 42k is the cheapest. This is going to be an interesting one. Let me go ahead and if I switch this to this is going to ruin the price. I'm trying to think of a good way to actually accurately price check this. What I'm probably going to do, wow, does a 31 HP Wingull really go for 25k? I mean, that seems absurd. This one's 35k and it's 2 times. That seems so high. That is pretty nuts. There's so few on the market that it's probably going to be people's best bet. I'm probably going to go ahead and list this one for 25k, which seems kind of nuts, but I think it's accurate with these defense stats. The fact that it's female, this is, I mean, super solid. So 25k on that, and then adding that over to the calculator, of course, plus 25, putting us at around 80k so far. And we only have around 4 Pelippers left. We're making really good margins on these, though. I do feel like these sell like really well. All right, this next Pelipper, we see the cheapest Pelipper with 31 defense going for 10k right now. The next one's 15k, which is super awesome. They've been listed for a couple days now. You have to really find people trying to build these Pelippers, but they could sell for really good prices. This one has 20 plus in other stats, though. I'm probably going to go ahead and list this one for 15k, essentially undercut this one a little bit at 14,999. I think that'll be super fair, super accurate. We'll add that onto the calculator over as well really quick, putting us at 94k. We've got 3 more Pelippers to quickly sell, or Wingulls now only. Now this one is super tough. I don't really see any super comparable listings. It does have a lot of stats that it needs. This Pelipper is just way better than it, and it's really not giving me an accurate price check. And then if I drop it down to just the 31 special attack, I guess I see 12k on this one. Honestly, that's honestly a lot more fair. If I go to Wingull, they're way cheaper though, like 4k or so, but that's way too cheap for this. I'm probably going to go ahead and list this for that 10k range or 11k. I'll probably do 11,999. I think if someone, once again, is looking for a Wingull to buy to pair with a Ditto as a breeder, someone could definitely pick this up and get a good breeder out of it. Next up, we have this 1x31 Wingull with 31 HP, but it also has 25 plus in attack, and special defense is really the better stat there, but I'm probably going to go ahead and just list this for 25k. I feel like that's going to be the reasonable thing for this. I don't really see it going for more than that. I think 25k is super fair. We'll list that as that and add that over to the calculator on top of that 12k we just added. 131k expected so far. Honestly, much less than I expected. However, we do get to end things off with a 2x31. And not only is it a 2x31, it also has a really important 30 stat, and it also has 31 speed. So this could be really good. Let's go ahead and see. Let's see. I might sell this as egg group to get this to sell for a little bit faster with much more specific stats. So if we do this, if we do male, if we do water A, let's check the price, like 95. That's probably 3x31 would be my guess. Yup. Let's go ahead and check the flying egg group and see if I have an accurate thing. 44k. You can see that. So this would be a really quick sell. Selling it for 44k is definitely super viable and would be really fast. It would still bring our number up to around 170, then after cost, like 130k profit per hour or something, making Wingull a really decent beginner money making method. Not the best in the world, not the worst in the world, definitely a solid one. It would be my guess. But I'm gonna go ahead and let's try to hold out for a little bit longer. Let's not worry about this. Let's try to sell it as a Wingull or a Pelipper and just see what comes up. So 140 is way too high. Let's do Pelipper. See what we see. 52k. This is much more reasonable. So the question becomes, I could sell this for 50k and have this sit on the GTL for like 22 days, or I could sell it for 44k and see it sell within the next day or so. I'm definitely going to do the 40k number. I think it's really important to be realistic, prioritize speed in some aspects, and that is super important. That listing fee is also going to be a little higher, so we're going to list that off for 44k, add that over to our calculator, and I'm going to be a little bit generous here on costs. So initially, I thought our costs were going to be around 32k, but I'm actually going to go ahead and just bump that up to like 35k because some of the listing fees were a little bit more, etc., etc. So we'll subtract 35k from our total number in the bottom right-hand corner of our screen, and that is going to leave us with 140k expected profit per hour at Wingull. Now, this is only 1 hour of testing, so please keep in mind, this is not how you should accurately collect data. This is more of an anecdotal example of, hey, I made this in 1 hour. I don't know if you guys can replicate this. It might be a little higher, it might be a little lower. It's not going to be anything crazy. Like you shouldn't come here and only make 10k an hour. Like worst case scenario, you're probably going to make 100k an hour. Best case scenario, maybe you'll make maybe 200k or so. Have to keep a range, but it's not going to be like crazy different, right? Unless you play super inefficiently. I played pretty efficiently during this hour, I will say, and caught a lot of Wingulls. So 140k profit per hour catching Pokemon is definitely not bad. It's not bad by any means. It's more money than you'll make per hour actually doing payday pickup, which is pretty interesting. But you know, it's not bad. It's not great. It's not perfect. There are better things. There's better Pokemon you can catch, but maybe you want to single encounter hunt for Wingull or Tentacle for whatever reason. You could try it out. Maybe try this method out by also catching some of the male tentacles you see. You can make more money that way. I'm not sure, but that is everything. All the data I collected over this loop from 1 hour. Hopefully you guys did enjoy it. Hopefully you did. If you did, make sure to leave a like on the video. It helps out tremendously. Make sure to subscribe to the channel for daily PokeMMO content. Check out the Discord link down below for updates on all that content. Twitch, follow that for streams Monday through Thursday at 12 p.m. ET. And if you want to go above and beyond and support my content, YouTube memberships, Twitch Primes, Twitch subs, and PayPal/Venmo all do help out tremendously. Thanks for watching. Have a great day. I'll see you guys later. Peace. Hey, thanks so much for watching the entire video. I really appreciate that, and if your name is on this list, I appreciate you even more. Thank you to everyone who goes above and beyond and supports my channel and allows me to make content full time. I couldn't do it without you guys. Thank you so much. Have a great day.